Hello, my lovies. Welcome to another episode of Babayaga Speaks. And today I'd like to speak about anger and rage because that's what happened to me recently, and I am compelled to share it with you in the hopes that if this is something that resonates with you, and if this is something that's valuable also for you, then, you know, a reminder that when I was experiencing rage, even from years and years ago, I want to be reminded that I'm not alone and you are not alone as well. So yesterday, I got so angry. I was already cussing. My tone is already dark and heavy, and my sighs are just like yeah, blah, blah. Yeah, so it was grueling. It was really heavy, and all because of a task at work. And also, just to let you know, I'm in a transition. And for the most part, transitions are very shitty because it's like you're in the middle of something. You're trying to say goodbye to a version of you that you have outgrown, that you have learned so much from, but it's so hard to just let it all go because those are years and years of your identity being built, lessons being learned, but also you are so excited to embrace this version of you that you actually wholeheartedly prefer. So when you're in the middle, it's just a lot of wonkiness, and anger being one of them that was triggered by a task. And that task was just really data migration. And it's not my forte. I don't like it. I honestly don't like it. But then, all skills can be learned. You get to know stuff just by going through the internet, and ta-da, I know something. But a lot of times, it's not just about having the ability to do something, but there's this sense of, it has to be aligned to who you are. Because, yeah, you know how to do things, but in your deepest of truth, that's not what you really want to do. It's hard. It's twice as hard. It's thrice as hard. And that's what happened to me. So it took me like an hour and something to complete because I was already cussing in the middle of doing it. And it reminded me with how I also used to handle anger, handle rage before. And I'm filled with a lot of anger because of trauma and stuff and life like that. I was actually an angry kid. No, no, no. I actually had anger management issues. You know, I wouldn't say that I'm an angry kid. I'm a naturally joyful, b- brilliant, in very vibrant kid. But when anger comes in, oh, that's a different story. So anyway, uh, what I did with anger before was like I looked at it as if it's like a separate entity from who I am. And this separate entity is so ugly. It's so disgusting that all I really want to do is just to break it apart and make sure that it's not there anymore. It's disappeared. It has vanished. But that was just really an illusion because it keeps coming back. And every time it comes back and not really totally resolved, it comes back heavier, it comes back darker, and it comes back more painful. Yesterday, and being in this path of really embracing myself, and really training myself to be in the fullness of who I am. So it got a different and I'm not saying that it just happened yesterday, because the things that I am able to mm, rediscover now, it's a bunch of tiny adjustments along the way. And I just now have the courage and the trigger to say it to something in this way. Um, but I've noticed that, at least for me, with the rest of the things that has helped me become who I am. So that includes people, literature, writings, videos, etc. So I've come to see two types of anger. One is your destructive anger or rage, and the other one is sacred anger and rage. So, what's the difference between the two? Based on how I have experienced it and how I've learned it, is that when it comes to destructive rage, you're not really sitting down and identify what's the bottom of it. You're just trying to take care of what you're seeing and what you're feeling and then just throwing it away. And you're thinking, oh, okay, that's good because I can push it away because I don't like you, I don't want you, so go away. And aside from that, I've noticed how I used to bring in more pain and bring in more anger that actually didn't have anything to do with the actual anger I'm facing. So I add fuel to fire and then boom, haha, bonfire. But with this journey that I am on, training myself to embrace sacred rage, um, I'm not trying to calm down all the time. It doesn't work. But I do have pauses in between where I get to breathe in and breathe out intentionally, just to give myself a pause so that I wouldn't have to be too exhausted because I have parts one, two, and three of anger. And then when I need to express it again, because it's not fully expressed yet, I express it. Um, I'm trying to look for other ways. Maybe there are other ways, but I used to punch the wall, but it's hurting me. And I don't want to hurt myself, so I stopped doing that. But I shout. I either shout to a pillow, but I don't also like that. I didn't like it because it's so suffocating. So I shout without sound. I shout without sound. That was one of the effective things for me, like that. And I do that again and again and again. And if the rage is still there, and then when, oh my gosh, I can feel my head hurting, but it's really like that because I kind of put the pressure in, and then from my abdomen or my diaphragm, whatever you call that, from my, what chakra is that? I forgot. But anyway, but yeah, I do that. I do soundless shout into the void. And every time I have breaks, like I do deep breaths, I also have to intentionally remind myself that I'm doing okay. I'm actually doing good. Like, oh, good job, Jade. Good job. Good job. You're doing that. Okay, keep doing that. You're okay. Breathe in. Do you need to shout again? Do you need to shout? Okay, okay, go, go, go. You can do it. And then you shout again. I shout again. So, in a way, I'm holding space for my anger. And that's what I consider a sacred one because I'm not denying myself of it. I'm not adding something else to it. I'm actually facing it for what it is. And the moment that I have settled down, and there will be a time that we will settle down, that I'm a little bit calm, and then I try to feel my body. During that time, I feel the stiffness in my chest area and in my head, which tells me to have a conversation and ask, okay, something is heavy with my chest. What emotions are um are apparent with where we are at right now? What are you feeling? Let's name it. And what are we thinking? Because our head is also wonky. So I feel tired. I feel that I have been saying yes to things that I honestly just want to say no to. I feel that I have to always play small so that I could not offend people even if I'm hurting. I think that I'm a bad person because I didn't want to do these things. I think that I'm dumb because it's supposed to be easy and I make it hard. And I listen to each of the answers that I'm seeing. And then I'm also making sure that every time I try to answer, I don't judge myself against it. As a matter of fact, I hype myself up and say, thank you for your honesty. Thank you for telling me that. That means a lot that you say it like that. Means a lot that you name it. And I don't feel invalidated. And I feel more seen and heard than before. And ultimately, I calm down, I feel better, and I'm not saying that it's gone. I'm just saying that I'm glad that we have this conversation, because if I were to talk to anger as a person, I'm not gonna tell it, get out of my life, but rather, ah, you are a beautiful part of my life. I just misunderstood you. All we needed to do was have a conversation like this. And that for me is sacred anger. And it's it's so helpful with how I'm experiencing and want to live life right now. And it's like a reminder that anger, it's not a failure. It's not a sign of failure. Anger is not a monster, as opposed to how we were thought it would be or believed that it would be. It's just actually a compass calling us back to ourselves, reclaiming our very own energy. And you know what, lovies? If you've been taught to fear your anger, I have been taught and programmed to fear my anger. Uh, I I have every reason and every heart to believe that this is a reminder that anger, it's a sacred fire, and that we don't have to snuff it out, but rather it's our opportunity to tend to it, because it is our fire. It's not anyone else's, it's ours. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's mine. I don't want to give away what's mine. You know, it was given for me so that I could navigate through it. So, yeah, my hope for us is that with this kind of fire, we tend to it, we dance around it, we honor the warmth that it gives us, and we honor the flame because it is our power. It is our it's who we are as people, that we don't have to play small anymore, that we don't have to be polite to the point that we trample over ourselves, because that's not how we are really meant to live, you know. So yeah, Thank you so much for coming on here today in Baba Yaga Speaks Hamsala.